Alright, time for some Chaos Shield. Also, I just noticed there's a fetus in the D, and that's... I don't know how I didn't notice that before. In the logo. That's weird, am I right? I don't feel great today, but I also want to play. I want to keep going with the plot. I'm truly hooked. But, so, I don't know if it's going to be a long one today. Probably not. Who knows? Anyways. Riko Haida's condo was cut off from sunlight by the surrounding buildings, making the whole place feel somehow gloomy. Mio Kunosada was standing there, her eyes as cold as ever. I mean, the fact that someone died here probably also has something to do with the gloominess of the place, but, you know. She'd gone through all the wooden shelves and colored boxes on the walls, reading every last document and receipt inside, and found nothing.
警察が持っていったものの中には本当に何もなかったんだな。
ああ、俺が全部チェックしたんだ。間違いない。
Several days had passed since the death of the woman they believed to be Senri Minamisawa. The body had long since been taken out for an autopsy. A few pieces of evidence, like the table and the body had been taken by the police, but Shinjo said the clue she was looking for wasn't among them.
何も出てこない。無駄足だったのか。
Yeah, go away. She had spent 2 hours searching the room. Even she was starting to feel a little concerned, but she shook her head to drive the thoughts from her mind. Next, she pulled out the magazines and comics from the shelf and began to check if anything was hidden between the pages.
No.
なんだ。
Shinjo was leaning up against the wall and watching her, a frown on his face.
この部屋は完全な密室だった。彼女以外誰も出入りした痕跡がなく、凶器の鉄筋も彼女自身が持ち込んだものだ。
それがどうした？
彼女はどうやって死んだんだろうな。自殺か他殺かも含めて。
私は探偵じゃない。密室犯罪のトリックなど知るか。
そういう話をしてるわけじゃない。ギガロマニアックスの死に関して君の意見を求めてるんだ。
Shinjo sounded unhappy as he turned to look at the spot where the burnt body had been found.
ギガロマニアックスはいわゆる超能力者とは違う。他人と妄想を共有することで初めて能力が発現する。つまりここが誰の目も届かない閉鎖空間だったのなら、南沢千里はただの人間と同じだ。パイロキネシスなど使えるはずがない。だがここは閉鎖空間とは違う。例えば窓の外から誰かが覗いていれば妄想の共有など簡単にできる。
いや、そこまでは俺も考えたさ。
なら何を悩むことがある。ここもダメか。
Kunosado finished checking all the bookshelves and looked around the room, uncertain of what to do next. There wasn't a lot of furniture or appliances. The place was rather plain. The closet and desk were the first places she checked, but she still hadn't found what she was looking for.
ここに住んでいたのが南沢千里なら、例の委員会につながるヒントくらい出てくると思ったんだが。あるいは奴らのことだ。私より先にすでに回収済みということか。くそ、だいたい事件の発生から時間が経ちすぎだ。直後にここを調べられたら 連中を出し抜けたかもしれないのに。
She looked over her shoulder and glared at Shinjo. It took effort to stop herself from bitching him out.
上等だ。絶対に突き止めてやる。
Honestly surprised she even bothered to expend that effort. Kunisado decided to search the whole room once more. All the paperwork inside the messy desk used the name Riko Haida. It was nothing but receipts and utility bills. But there was no sign of a bill for a phone or internet service. She'd had neither, it seemed. There was no sign of her even having a landline phone.
確かに。電話がどこにもないな。
She looked around the room and found the phone jack, but it was covered in dust and showed no signs of ever having been used. The only other things she found among the papers were receipts for food and drink from a convenience store. Senri Minamisawa had never cooked. Convenience store food was all she ate.
これじゃあ食費もバカにならなかったろ。
How had she paid for it all? The police were trying their hardest to find out, but there was no sign of a bank book or credit card in the room, and they didn't know anything about her bank account either.
金の出所は委員会じゃないのか。せめて口座番号だけでも分かれば尻尾がつかめるもの。
南沢千里は23日の深夜から24日の未明にかけて宮代君たちの前に姿を現してる。そして焼死体となって発見されたのはその24日の夜だ。ということは彼女が死んだのはその間ということになる。
Kunisado had been so lost in thought that she hadn't even realized Shinjo was talking to her.
あ？なんだ？
南沢千里が最後に目撃されてから死体が発見されるまでに20時間ほどあるって話だよ。
それだけあれば十分だろ。
ところがその20時間の間に何が起こったのか、いやそもそも南沢千里が何をしていたのか足取りが全くつかめないんだ。彼女はこのマンションにすら戻ってきていないんだよ。
何？
Kunisado's expression changed for the first time.
24日の防犯カメラに映ってないんだ。一度も。
そんなバカな話があるか。じゃあどうやってここで死んだんだ？
だからこうして途方に暮れてるんじゃないか。
映像をチェックしたやつの見落としだろう。
俺も確認したよ。見落としはない。
Shinjo closed his eyes and rubbed them. He'd caused himself a good bit of eye strain.
今映像を確認させてるが、どういうことかさっぱりだ。
わかった。少し考えてみよ
う。助かる。
He covered his face with his left hand, exhausted.
それも含めて、私はもう少しこの部屋を調査させてもらう。あんたは南沢千里がいつどうやってハイダリコという偽の身元を手に入れたのか情報を入手してくれないか。もしかするとそれにも委員会が絡んでいるかもしれない。
ああ、それはもうやってる。
あとこの件の警察発表はいつになる予定だ？
まだ決まってない。いろいろ揉めてるらしい。
ニュースになればもっと南沢千里の情報が集まってくると思うんだがな。
気持ちはわかるが、そう焦るなよ。
わかる？私の何がわかると言うんだ。
You're an asshole. She glared at him with daggers in her eyes, but Shinjo shrugged and said nothing.
さて
It's
と、
probably the right answer.
ちょっと飯でも食ってくる。君はどうする？
いらない。勝手にしろ。
じゃ、そうさせてもらう。
Shinjo left without trying to invite her a second time. But as he opened the door, he paused as if he'd remembered something.
どれだけ調べてくれても構わないが、 マンションの管理人が君を疑ってる。本当に警察の関係者かって。所轄に問い合わせでもされたら厄介だから気をつけろよ。
一応気には留めておく。
一応じゃ困る。怒られるのは俺だ。
Then he laughed, but there was no humor in his voice. It was after school in the club room, and the twilight streamed in through the windows. Through the open windows. What is she eating? I imagine she's eating something tasty. Kazuki was in the corner, playing ESO2 and making weird noises. Her battle didn't seem to be going well, and she was making oddly sexy noises. I hope no one outside the room got the wrong idea. There goes the wall. Oh, no, just kidding. I heard a small knock on the door.
ってお前もか。こそこそ覗いてないでさっさと入ってこいって。
大丈夫？お邪魔じゃない？
だから何がお邪魔なんだよ。
廊下の向こうまで聞こえてるよ、花ちゃん。
What is she doing?
今忙しいから話しかけるなってさ。
たくすごいね。花ちゃん検定があればすぐに1級とか取れるね。
そんなもんいらん。
Or is that just her focus noise?
私のことなんてどうでもいいのねって怒ってるぞ。
違う。私のこと勝手に話題にすんなだ。
すごいすごい。
Sarika smiled and clapped. For some reason, she was really happy.
あれ、今日なんちゃんは？
生徒会しばらく休んでたから仕事が溜まってるらしい。
川原のやつが来て今日は新聞部には渡さないとさ。
おお、これは争奪戦だね。よーし、タク、のんちゃんを奪いに行こう。
いや、いいよ。
I didn't want any more trouble with the student council, or Kawahara more specifically.
うわー、久しぶりにダメなタクに戻った。
Wow.
せっかくかっこよかったのに。
Oh, wow. Brutal.
なんだそれ。
だってあんな怖い能力を使う人と対決したり、病院の地下へ潜入したり、とにかく事件を追ってるタクはかっこよかったよ。
そうか。
Kurusu got super mad at me and told me not to go chasing after danger, though. You're so itchy. It's stupid. I'm mad at it. Oh my god, I hate this so much. I'm so annoyed. Better system or something. But now, that all seemed like the distant past, even though it hadn't even been a week.
本当に事件はもう終わったんだよ。
Nope. Certainly not. That night, the 23rd, when there had been no murder, the rest of the world had started to declare that the return of the new generation madness was over. But I still hadn't believed it then. I thought that it wasn't over at all. But the next day, I had heard shocking news from Shinjo. Senri Minamisawa, the woman who'd threatened us so much, was found burnt to death. What is WCY? Was found burnt to death in her condo. Is that WCY? Capital letters? Am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? Am I actually losing it?
僕も有村の映像を確認した。間違いない。
Is that like a secret code that I need to remember or some shit? I'd spent a long time thinking that night. But in the end, I had no choice but to tell Caruso about her death. When I told her, her eyes went wide, and then she looked down silently. Her long hair hid her face, and I couldn't see her expression.
なんて言っていいかわからないけど、その。
これで。これで終わったのね。もうタクルやユイを襲うような犯人はいなくなったのね。
だと思うって新庄さんは。
そう。よかった。
She raised her head. Her eyes were a little wet, but she was quietly smiling. The police still hadn't made any announcement about a suspect in the killings being burnt to death. Not only was Senri Minamisawa a minor, but she may have been driven to the crime by Chaos Child Syndrome, the form of PTSD by young survivors of the Shibuya earthquake. Shinjo had said it was an extremely delicate matter, and since the circumstances of her death were so strange, the forensics people were getting nowhere. There was an internal war over how the police should release the information.
あと、これは邪推かもしれないけど。
It seemed to me that the fact she was a human test subject at AH Tokyo General might have played a role too. If she became famous, the media and internet might start looking into her past, and they might find out about the human experiments. It would make sense if someone who wanted to avoid that was putting pressure on the police.
おい、宮代？
え？あ、悪い。なんだ？
あれ、どうするよ？
Ito pointed to the map on the wall.
片付けるか？もう使わないかもしれないし。
I stood in front of it again. The map was crammed with all the information we'd gathered so far. It all looked faded, like something that happened a long time ago.
ああ、そうか。
I found two photographs on the map that I'd completely forgotten about. The 6th and 7th incidents in the New Generation Madness, Yummy Hand and Dokyun Puzzle. And notes next to them read October 28th and November 4th.
今日って28日なんだよな。
Oh no.
そうだな。
Ito nodded. He seemed to know what I meant. Then I saw another note I'd stuck up there in my own handwriting. It was the one I'd been thinking about ever since I was told about Senri Minamisawa's death. Serial killer, multiple personalities including pyrokinetic.
事件は終わったんだろうか。本当に。
終わったって言ってるぜ、みんな。それにさ、もし他に犯人がいるなら、23日だって南沢千里に代わってそいつが事件を起こしたはずだろ。
I don't like pregnant man over there in the corner. Can we like pan to the right a little bit?
ああ。
Thank you.
けど、
Damn it.
実際は何も起こらなかった。ってことは、この可能性は消えたってことじゃないのかな。
Thank you. Damn it. They're fucking with me now. Ito took the note off the map.
もうやめようぜ。なんつうかさ、副部長が辛いと思うんだ。俺。
あ。
うん、そうだね。しんちゃんの言う通りかも。
ね。
そっか。
I remembered Kurosu's sad eyes when I told her about Senri Minamisawa's death.
わかった。こいつの役目はここで終わりにしよう。
I slowly removed the map.
けど、 なんかいきなり壁がすっきりしちゃったね。
It's all gone.
ずっとここにあったからな。
また何か事件を探そうよ、タク。みんなをあっと驚かせるような事件。
ああ、そのために作った新聞部だもんな。
Serica smiled again, the same way she always did. And Ito finally started to grin too.
今度は副部長に怒られない程度の事件にしとこうぜ。
わかってるよ。今回の件でさすがに懲りた。
Even Kazuki turned away from her game and gave me an in agreement. That night, I finally went back to the RV. Yui had finally calmed down and stopped being afraid at night. If Dad, Kurusu, and Yuto were there, she'd probably be fine. Her old friend Uki was there too.
やっぱりここは落ち着くな。
Home sweet home. I sat in the chair and booted up my PC for the first time in a long while. My inbox was overflowing with spam. It was strange. It always used to annoy me, but now it felt like proof that I'd returned to my old life.
はい、ご苦労さんと。
Of course, I deleted them all immediately, but they didn't piss me off like they used to.
さて。
Come to think of it, I'd forgotten because of everything that happened, but Gen had just sold me the latest edition of Cool Cat Press, and I hadn't touched it at all. I took it out from its hiding spot under my desk and started to flip through the pages. It felt like forever since I'd done that, too.
1ヶ月目の恋人はどこまで許される？フレンチキス、それともディープキスまで大きい。
What the fuck? What is this magazine? Busted. She's good. She's good. I almost fell out of my chair. Serica was standing behind me, looking over my shoulder.
私としては1ヶ月とかあんまり関係ないと思うんだよね。
Dude, so busted. Also, she looks weird without the jacket. The uniform looks weird without the jacket.
ドアの鍵かかってなかったから。
Crap. I'd been so busy reading that I hadn't noticed Serica.
だからって勝手に入ってくんな。ノックくらいしろよ。
でもノックは嫌かなと思って。タク怖がるかなって。
She was right. If I heard knocking now, it might be bad for my heart. You might look like an airhead, but the nice thing about Serica was that you could always count on her to remember things like that.
いいか、繰り返すようだが、この本はいつもゲンさんに押し売りされてるんだ。僕が好んで買ってるわけじゃないからな。そのあたり勘違いするなよ。
Dude. I put my Cool Cat Press back under the desk in a very cool manner. Yeah, he forces you to buy it. Does he force you to read it too?
了解。
Study
ちゃ
it?
んには秘密にしとくね。
Live and breathe it?
こら待て、僕はそういうこと言ってるんじゃないからな。
それでタクはどうなの？
何が？
だからキスはどこまで OK？
なんもしたこともないのにわかるか。
Serica suddenly pursed her lips unhappily.
タクってば忘れちゃったの？
何をだ？
私としたのに、そのファーストキス。
何？
I literally leapt out of my chair. I kissed Serica? When? Where? How? Why? According to Kenji Minamikata's column in Cool Cat Press, the girl's first kiss was more important to her than losing her virginity. And that's why a guy who didn't remember his first kiss was a terrible man, he'd said. The plot thickens. I was sweating, unable to remember a thing, but Serica just laughed.
まあ許してあげるよ。幼稚園の頃の話だし。
ってそんな昔の話かよ。びっくりさせんな。
And anyway, kisses in preschool don't count. Probably. When I told her so, Serica looked upset again.
それより何しに来たんだ？家に帰ったんじゃないのか？
そうなんだけど、なんか少し寂しくなっちゃって、タクの顔を見に来たの。
は？
ほら、最近ずっとみんなで一緒にいたでしょ？もちろん怖い人に狙われたのはすごく嫌だったけど、それも仲間同士で助け合って乗り越えたって感じで。こういうこと言うとのんちゃんに怒られると思うから内緒だけど、私結構ドキドキしたよ。
そっか。
タクはどうだった？
僕か。僕はどうだろう。わからないな。
She suddenly leaned over, right on top of me, and reached a hand toward my computer. The sensation on my back was soft and warm. I didn't know how to react whenever she did something like this.
おい、重いからどけって。
重くないよ。失礼だな、君は。
Her white fingers gripped the mouse, and she started to move it around.
部室でも言ったけど、私また新しい事件を探したいな。あ、これなんかどう？
Serica opened a site for explorers of abandoned buildings, a popular genre. Most of the articles were about people going into abandoned villages, factories, and mines. Bankrupted, empty amusement parks, and department stores were also popular. They would write essays and upload photos. Some sites would also write about bloody urban legends involving the abandoned buildings, or uploaded photographs with ghosts in them.
こういうのはやり尽くされてるしな。あと背景の侵入って非合法だから、学校の部活でやるのは無理だと思う。
つまんないの。
Serica moved away from me and then lay down on the RV's bed. Then she yawned loudly.
ほら、そこで寝るなよ。
I turned around, but her eyelids were already closed.
早っ。
I quickly stood up and shook her shoulders.
おい、眠いんなら帰って寝ろよ。
今日は泊まってくからいい。
何言ってんだ。僕の寝る場所がなくなるだろ。
大丈夫。私小さいからベッドで一緒に寝られるよ。
そんなわけいくか。
Just as I grabbed her by the arm and tried to lift her up, my phone started to vibrate in my backpack. Kept going, so it probably wasn't an email or a text, but a phone call. I had no choice but to leave Serica on the bed while I went to answer it. I looked at the screen and saw that the call was from Ito.
今頃なんだろう。新しい事件のネタでも見つけたのか。
I answered the phone.
もしもし、どうした伊藤？
アットちゃん見たか？
His voice was tense and anxious.
アットチャンネル？
とにかく見てみろ。ニュージェネ関連のスレならどこでもいい。
なんだよ一体。
Uh-oh. I walked over to my PC, confused, and opened that channel. I decided to start by opening the news board. There were quite a few threads about the original and current New Generation Madness incidents. I couldn't believe my eyes. The page was filled with the names Senri Minamisawa and Riko Haida. And I could see the words burnt to death here and there too.
警察が犯人を公表したのか？
違う。読んでみるとわかるが、どっかから情報が漏れたらしい。
情報が漏れた？
I opened up a thread and saw that yes, the police were still remaining silent. But there was... Oh, I wanted to read that. Oh, no, oh no, I wanted to read that. Okay, well... but there was a picture... There was the picture Arimura and I had seen of her on the security camera, and a photo of her when she was a student. And there were a ton of weird there was a ton of weird information on Senri Minamisawa, with no source given. Some of it said...
Oi, なんだよこれ?
The guys on /crazy girls are starting to track her down. Got the picture. Uh-oh. Oh, this is not good.
見つけたか?
くそ、情報弱者どもがろくに確かめもしないで何適当なこと書き込んでんだ.
I was angry because I saw Kurusu and Kawahara's names mixed in with the information on Senri Minamisawa. The first idiot who'd posted was probably an old classmate of theirs. The three of them were friends and always together. That information had nothing to do with the case. What were they thinking? Dude, what the fuck? And the irresponsible comments that came after were even worse. Another thread that said that Minamisawa had once lived in the Aoba dorm, and that Kurusu visited her every day in her condo. This was crazy. There were even a few morons saying that Kurusu was an accomplice to the murders because she'd helped Senri Minamisawa stay hidden, and that the police were coming to arrest her. That was probably why her phone number had shown up on an interview site. Why is interview in quotes? Is this a thing? No, it's literally just an interview. Here refers to the act of someone on the internet. Oh, I see. Calling an individual or group for an unsolicited telephone interview. Used when someone or some group has done something wrong, and internet users call them en masse to question them or complain. Supposedly done out of a sense of justice or righteous anger, but in fact many people do this for fun or because everyone else is doing it. That is fucked. That is beyond fucked.
ふざけるなよ.
When I saw that Kurusu's graduation photo was uploaded along with Senri's, I slammed my fist down on the desk.
事件がやっと終わったっていうのに、何なんだよこれ.
Sarika jumped up when she heard me yell.
切るぞ伊藤。クルスに電話してみる。
いや、俺も電話してみたがダメだった。副部長は電源を切ってる。
I imagine she did, yeah. Jesus Christ. I hit my computer's power button and quickly headed for the door.
わかった。直接アワリを行ってみる。
ああ、俺も行く。向こうで落ち合おう。
Ito hung up as well.
尾上、悪いがちょっと留守番しててくれ。
え、やだよ。のんちゃんに何かあったんでしょ。私も連れてって。
Sarika followed after me as I ran out the door. I didn't have a choice, so the two of us ran toward Aoba dorm. There were already several strange vans parked outside the dorm when we got there. Some people were already wandering around outside with video cameras. Dude, this sucks. As I got close to Aoba dorm, I could feel several sets of eyes upon me. Several men who appeared to be reporters started to surround us.
はい。何がですか?
Don't talk to them. Literally don't talk to them. Ignore them.
すみません。通してください。
じゃあ友達かな。クルスノノって子知ってる？
知りません。
I decided to lie. If I told them I knew Kurusu, I figured I wouldn't be able to take another step.
それじゃあさ、南沢千里っていう名前に心当たりはないかな。
ネットで見なかった。例の猟奇殺人の犯人らしいんだけどね。
Dude, this is trash. I hate
知ら
this.
ないです。僕たち会う場合に薬をもらいに来ただけですから。
Then I grabbed Serica's hand and started to run. I shook off the hands that tried to grab at me and rang in the bell for Alba Clinic, not Alba Dorm. I could hear several frustrated noises behind me. Maybe it was just because the police hadn't made their announcement yet, but even the media didn't seem to want to step onto the clinic's property. It would probably be considered trespassing. Soon I heard someone on the other side of the door.
僕だよ。尾上もいる。
I whispered, and the door opened. I slid inside, and the door was quickly closed again.
よ、おかえり。
Dad was standing in the front lobby, chuckling.
こんばんは、佐久間先生。なんか大変ですね。
まあな、こんなのは初めてだから、どうしていいのやら。
Dad scratched the back of his head.
クルスはどうしてる？
意外と言っちゃかわいそうだが、割と塞ぎ込んでる。あいつにしては珍しい。
I'd figured that Kurusu was like any other girl. She was either scared or depressed after what happened. But it hurt to hear that a strong-willed girl like her was down.
早く言ってやれ。タクルたちの顔を見れば、少しは元気になるだろう。
はい。
Serica and I ran up the stairs to the dorm. I could see her sitting at the dinner table, with her head drooping down. And past her, hiding in the kitchen, Yui and Yuto were looking on, worried. There was a cold cup of English breakfast tea on the table, and Uki was pacing around, wondering if she should make a new one.
ただいま。
こんばんは。
They all looked relieved to see me.
タクルに、セリカさん。よかった、来てくれて。
ああ。
I waved to Yui a little, and then tried to talk to Kurusu.
大丈夫か、クルス。
Kurusu slowly looked up as if she'd only just now realized we were here. Her tone made it obvious that she was trying to hide her shock.
心配して来てくれたの？ありがとう。
ああ、伊藤も来るってさ。
そう。そんなところに立ってないで座ったら？
あ、そうだな。
うん。
Serica and I sat across from her. Uki quickly brought us some tea.
クルスさん、お茶、新しくしましょうか。いいわ。ありがとう。
Kurusu smiled and politely refused. Uki looked a little sad.
なあ、クルス。あんまり気にすんなよ。アットチャンネルなんて秋っぽい奴らばっかりだ。人の噂も75日とか言うけど、75日も持たない。多分1ヶ月もしないうちにみんな忘れると思う。だから、その間だけちょっと我慢すれば。
私のことはいいの。何を言われても別に構わないわ。でも、私の大切な人たちや大切な家に迷惑がかかるのが許せない。
Her voice was shaking with sorrow. Yui and Yuto ran out from the kitchen and grabbed onto her from both sides.
ののね、平気だよ。私なら全然平気。僕も大丈夫だから。ゆい、ゆうと。でも、学校でいじめられたりしたら、そんなの気にならないよ。っていうか、ゆうをいじめるようなやつがいたら、私がただじゃおかないから。
Kurusu's eyes were wet with tears.
ごめん。ごめんね。どうしてのの姉が謝るの？何も悪いことしてないのに。そうだよ。謝ることないよ、のんちゃん。
Everybody rushed to defend her, but that only seemed to make it worse. Looking at her made me feel angry. Where had the information leaked from? And why would information come out that made her look more like it? Bleh. Why would information come out that made her look like an accomplice just because she was an old friend of a serial killer? It didn't make sense. It was crazy.
Huh?
And then I realized that something was wrong. I'd been so shocked by what happened that I hadn't had time to think about it, but...
なんかおかしくないか?
That channel was always looking for a new target to make a fuss over, and Senri Minamisawa fit the bill perfectly. But had there really been enough time for them to start focusing on Kurusu and Aoba Dorm? Even for At Channel, that was weird.
まるで誰かがそう仕向けてるような。
As soon as I had the thought, I froze. Someone set this up? Were they after Kurusu? Or maybe Aoba Dorm?
それってどういうことだ?
Who would do that? And for what? What could they gain by going after Kurusu or Aoba Dorm?
くそ、全然わからない。
I took my phone out of my pocket and dialed a number.
どこ？どうしたの？
Everyone looked at me surprised. I motioned for them to be quiet and stood up. I needed to move somewhere where I wouldn't be overheard, so as not to worry Kurusu more. Who's he calling? Shinjo, maybe? I hurried to my own room, then focused on the sound of the ringing phone.
早く出てくれよ。早く。
After a long time, there was finally an answer.
ああ、宮代君?
Yeah.
ちょうどよかった。今電話しようと。
Shinjo was in just as much of a hurry as I was. I cut him off and yelled.
どうしておかしな情報が漏れてるんです？
ネットの件か。今、サイバー対策課が調べてる。もう少し待ってくれ。それより。
警察から漏洩したんじゃないんですか？
それも含めて、今調査中だ。
Shinjo sounded a little upset. He probably didn't want to think that any of his colleagues had leaked important information.
それより、君は今どこにいる?
I mean, like, my immediate thought is that it was Kunosato, just because she's a shit, and also has mentioned that she's done things like this before. But at the same time, that seems too obvious, and I don't know why she would do it. Like, I don't know what but that's my, like, my go-to theory right now is that she fucking did it. She's an ass.
青葉寮ですけど。
ちょうどよかった。いいか、よく聞け。これは君たちの命に関わる重大な話だ。
え?
Our lives were in danger?
俺も君たちも大変な勘違いをしていたんだ。皮肉な話だが、ネットに情報が漏れたおかげで判明した。
A mistake?
君や有村さんを襲ったパイロキネシスト。あれは南沢千里じゃなかった。
え?
My eyes went wide as I stood there in shock. My grip on my phone tightened.
南沢千里じゃなかった？
ああ。
じゃあ誰なんです？
灰田理子だ。
はあ？それって偽名じゃ。
そう。俺たちは灰田理子というのが偽名で、偽の身元だとばかり思っていた。でも、ネット上に彼女を実際に知っているという情報がいくつも書き込まれているのを見つけたんだ。最初はただのデマだと思ったんだが、一応その書き込みをもとに、彼女の故郷と言われる場所を地元警察に洗ってもらった。その結果、灰田理子の実在が確認された。
そんな。
So she's still out there.
マンションで見つかった焼死体の歯の治療痕も地元の歯科医の記録と完全に一致した。間違いない。俺たちが南沢千里だと決めつけていたパイロキネシストはハイダリコという全くの別人だったんだよ。
Interesting.
ちょっと待ってください。
I moved the phone away from my ear so I could think for a second.
見つけた。
So that wasn't Senri. That woman wasn't Senri Minamisawa? Then did the real Minamisawa die in the Shibuya earthquake, like Kurusu said?
それならどうして僕は狙われたんだ。
I'd never known a woman named Riko Haida. I'd never met her or even heard the name before. I couldn't think of any reason why she'd come after me. What was she doing with Senri Minamisawa's ID card then? Couldn't think straight. Kept coming up with new questions.
もしもし、宮代君、聞いてるか？
はい。
I put the phone back to my ear when I heard the panic in his voice.
さっきハイダリコの検視結果がようやく出た。死亡推定時刻は10月23日の未明から昼頃にかけてだ。
10月23日。
Oh, here we go. Oh, wait. I knew it! I knew it!
その時間帯に彼女はすでに死んでいた。
でも23日の夜、僕はカフェで襲われたんですよ。
これは久野里さんの説だが、君を襲ったのはハイダリコ本人じゃない。多分別の能力者がハイダリコの妄想を君に見せただけだ。それしか説明がつかない。
別の能力者？
Felt a cold, sticky sweat on my forehead. Another psychic. I'd suspected it many times, but in the end, I discarded the possibility. I'm still waiting for him to... I'm waiting for him to click that if she died on the 23rd... That's why I thought this was all over.
ハイダリコの頭部はかなり損壊していて、すぐにわからなかったんだが、脳に肥大化の痕跡が発見された。猟奇殺人の他の被害者と全く同じだ。おそらく彼女は思考を操られ、自分で自分を串刺しにした挙句、さらに自身の体を燃やしたんだ。この異常な手口も他の被害者と共通している。
じゃあ真犯人は10月23日に能力者であるハイダリコを惨殺したということになる。
そうだ。スケジュール通りにな。
And today's the 28th, which means something awful's on the way. I was too scared to say what came next. Shinjo said it for me.
ニュージェネの狂気の再来は23日で途切れてなんかいなかったんだ。事件はまだ続いている。
Today was October 28th. If the murders weren't over.
気をつけろ、宮代君。多分誰かが狙われてる。
I felt like every hair in my body was standing up on end. I imagined a hand reaching out from somewhere and putting a cold blade to my neck.
新庄さん、僕たちどうしたら？
We should probably call Arimura, right? Make sure she's okay. Everybody else is here, right? We got Yui, we got Miyashiro, we got Yuki.
とにかく一人になるな。君のところに今後輩を向かわせてる。俺は有村さんの家へ行って彼女を保護する。その足で君らのところへ向かうから。いいね。
はい、お願いします。
I hung up, jammed the phone into my pocket, and ran out of the room. My legs were trembling, and I almost tripped several times. So good news, everyone. Did I say good news? I meant terrible news, everyone. When I got to the dining room, Kurusu and Sarika were folding everyone's laundry.
何かしていないとつい悪いことばかり考えてしまって。
Kurusu forced herself to smile as she looked at me. but she must have seen the look on my face because her smile faded instantly.
どうかしたの？タク？
ユイたちはどうした？
I couldn't see Yui, Yuto, or Uki.
ウキちゃんと一緒に佐久間先生のお手伝い。今日はもう委員を閉めるんでお掃除をしに下へ行ったよ。
そっか。
Dad had probably figured that with all the media outside, he wouldn't get any work done today, so he must have decided to close up early. More airplanes, Jesus Christ, there's some kind of air parade going on out there? I looked at the curtain and saw that the street was filled with vans. None of them showed any sign of leaving. But whether this was fair or not, even though I had hated them a moment ago, I now felt glad that they were here. With this many people, no matter who they were, the killer wouldn't be able to get at us easily. I went to close the curtain and saw that there was some kind of commotion going on outside. The window glass was too thick for me to hear, but something must have happened while I was on the phone. Dude, this music, this music right here
クリスのこと頼む。
is
何があって
chilling.
も絶対にそばを離れないでやってくれ。絶対にだぞ。
ねえタクル、何かあったのなら教えて。
後でちゃんと話すから。とにかく任せたぞ、尾上。
オッケー。
These two weren't psychics, so they were probably safe. But it was best to be— God damn it, I dropped my controller. But it was best to be sure. I ran down the stairs to the clinic, is what he said. Also, my controller died. Probably because I dropped it. Oh god, do I not have my charger's in the other room? Kill me! I'll be right back. Ugh. Nailed it. I could see Uki and Yuto cleaning the equipment in the exam room.
父さんとユイは
Continue on like nothing happened.
父さん、外でマスコミの人と喧嘩してる。
喧嘩？
はい。委員の窓から中を隠し撮りしようとした人がいたんです。それで佐久間先生が怒って外へ。
I listened carefully, and sure enough, I could hear Dad arguing with what sounded like a reporter.
ユイも父さんと一緒なのか？
え、お姉ちゃん？
Yuto and Uki looked confused.
お姉ちゃんならさっきタクル兄ちゃんのところへ行ったでしょ？
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that.
何？
That's not good. Yui went to find me?
いや、来てないぞ。
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No, no, no. It's not good.
でも、確かに寮へ上がっていきました。
そんなバカな。
I turned around and ran back up the stairs to the dorm.
ユイ！どこだユイ！
But I couldn't find her, no matter where I looked. She wasn't in her room, or the bath, or the toilet. I looked everywhere. After I looked everywhere I could find, I finally decided to check the dorm's emergency exit, and shivered as I saw that the inside latch was undone. Oh no. There's no way. There's no way. There's no way, right? There's no way. There's just no way. There's no goddamn way they kill Yui. Not a chance. Did she go outside? Why? I could feel my heart pounding with terror as I ran back into the clinic. There's no way.
どこにもいない。
そんなはずないよ。さっき伊藤さんが来て。
伊藤？
はい。それでゆいさんは伊藤さんと上へ行ったんです。
What?
伊藤と一緒なんだな。ユイ一人じゃなくて。
はい。
そうか。
I breathed a small sigh of relief. I'd still be worried, but if it was just Yui, she might have been in danger. But if she wasn't alone, it wouldn't be as easy for someone to attack her. I would still, like, call Ito, maybe?
とにかく、伊藤に電話してみる。
Thank you. As I took out my phone, Serica and Kurusu came into the room. They were worried. Rightfully so. They looked even more worried when I told them that Ito and Yui had vanished.
ゆいと伊藤くんが？
Listen to how tense that music is. It's really selling the
どこ行っちゃっ
tension.
たんだろ
もしもし、伊藤が。
ああ、宮代。
お前どこにいるんだ？
どこってコンビニから帰るところだよ。買い出ししてきたんだ。
Okay. Ito's voice was the same as ever.
ユイは一緒なのか？
ん？そばにいるけど。
そうか。
I felt relieved, but screamed into the phone anyway.
お前な、コンビニに行くなら誰かに断ってからにしろよ。ユイまで連れ出してみんな心配してんだぞ。
確かにそうだったな。悪い悪い。
とにかく急いで戻ってきてくれ。ユイが危険かもしれないんだ。
それなら大丈夫だろう。ゆいちゃんに何かあったら俺が手術して治してやるからさ。
The fuck?
は？
My mouth hung open for a second. An operation? The hell was he talking about? What? Then I realized that I could hear muffled moans next to him.
おい、伊藤、今のユイの声じゃないのか？何やってんだ？
あのさ、俺いつか佐久間先生みたいな医者になろうと思ってたんだよな。知ってたか？
What the fuck is going on?
だから何してんだよお前。やっぱコンビニで買ったナイフじゃ切れ味が悪いな。確かに痛いだろうこれじゃ。
Is this real? Oh my god, this fucking game and this fucking series, I can't tell if it's real or not.
おい、イト、何冗談言ってんだ。ユイを電話に出せ。おい。
I've been given no reason to believe this isn't real right now, but like at the same time, what?
宮代、お前さ、急いで持ってきてくれないか。ちゃんと切れるメスと麻酔薬。あと、骨を切るノコギリみたいなのなかったっけ。これじゃあ、ユイちゃんがかわいそうだ。
He hung up.
ユイ、どうしたんだユイ。
I pushed the call button again and again with shaking fingers, but he must have turned off his phone because he didn't pick up.
なんだよ、どうして伊藤が。
My mind couldn't keep up with this. It was too much to believe.
タクル、ユイがどうかしたの？なんか悲鳴みたいなの聞こえたけど。タクル兄ちゃん。
I suddenly felt like I was about to throw up. I shoved my face into the sink and tossed up everything I had in my stomach. It was like I was vomiting up hate, fear, and despair, and no matter how much I tried, it wouldn't stop. When I'd thrown up so much that there wasn't even any stomach fluid left, I turned around to see Kurusu behind me.
クルス、電話だ。新庄さんにとにかく電話してくれ。え？このままじゃユイが殺される。
I let Kurusu handle getting in touch with Shinjo and ran out the emergency exit to the dorm. My voice echoed down the rows of houses. Some nearby reporters ran over.
何かあったのかい？
さっきここから誰か出て行きませんでしたか？僕くらいの男と、あともう少し若い女の子です。知りませんか？
あの二人かな。インタビューしようとしたら無視されたけど。
No one cares. Where did they go?
どっちへ行きました？
Fuck off.
確かあっちだと思うけど。
I ran in the direction he pointed to without stopping or looking behind me. I could hear them asking what happened, but I didn't have time to tell them. Yeah, fuck them. I ran, screaming the names of my little sister and best friend. It hurt to breathe, but I couldn't stop running. My only thoughts as I ran were of Yui's safety and Ito's strange behavior. His tone had been the same as ever. It was the exact same tone he used when he was laughing about the latest weird school gossip. So why would he do that to Yui? It had to be some kind of mistake. Because Ito wouldn't...
もし他に犯人がいるなら、23日だって南沢千里に代わってそいつが事件を起こしたはずだろ。けど実際は何も起こらなかった。ってことはこの可能性は消えたってことじゃないのかな。
めようぜ。なんつうかさ、副部長が辛いと思うんだ。俺。
僕が別の能力者の可能性を完全に排除してしまったのはあの時だ。伊藤はクリスのことを引き合いに出して僕に考える間も与えずに
Dude.
重大なメモを剥がして捨てた。それじゃあれはわざと。
The more I thought about it, the more unbelievable it seemed. How long had I been running? My throat was dry and it stung. I was gasping for breath and in dire need of water. Sweat was dripping off of me, and I was so out of breath that I couldn't think.
どこだ。
I looked around and saw that I was in a residential area of Shibuya that the reconstruction teams hadn't gotten around to yet. There were still a lot of abandoned houses. Abandoned houses. I can speak. Even during the day, there was little foot traffic, and there were always rumors that at night you could see the vengeful ghosts of the people who died in the quake wandering beneath the streetlights. And it wasn't that far from Aoba Dorm, which meant that during my search, I must have circled back without knowing it. Just as I was about to turn around and head for Miyashita Park or Hekiho Academy, I heard a faint sound. A tiny noise, like tearing cloth. I thought I might have imagined it, but it forced my aching legs forward to look in the alleyway where I'd heard it. The lights didn't reach into the alley, so I could see nothing but darkness. I could hear the sound of water going drip, drip, drip. Some house's pipe must have broken. I'm so on edge right now. Okay. I took another step forward into the darkness, as if I was being drawn by the sound. Suddenly, there were several sharp metallic clangs at my feet. I quickly jumped back, surprised. Like, I really don't want to see a dead Yui. There's a lot of things I really don't want to see right now. That's one of them, and I'm worried. I'm scared. I don't like it. When my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I saw that they were paring knives. And all of them were stained dark with something. Their blades bent or broken in places. This knife I bought at the convenience store doesn't really cut that well. I felt something cold crawl up my back as I remembered Ito's words.
おい、ユイ、いるのか、ユイ。
I took another step forward. There was what felt like a puddle of water at my feet, and I heard a splash. I don't think it's water. But there was no answer. I took another step forward. The splash got louder, and then I realized that the liquid was sticking to my shoe. I looked down and saw that my shoe was stained with the same dark red color as the knives. The wind must have changed course, because the moment I had that thought, I smelled something awful. I inhaled a full breath of the stench before I could cover my nose and mouth. Oh, God. Oh, Christ. And then I looked towards the source of the smell. And when my eyes adjusted to the darkness, I could see it. Fuck you, dude. I don't even have words for this. It was the unpleasant but somehow seductive and sweet smell of meat. I could see small boxes laid out in the rough shape of a human body. It looked like some kind of grotesque homemade doll. The dark red liquid was flowing from the boxes. I suddenly felt an urge to throw up. You and me both. Me both, buddy. How long did it take me to realize that I was staring at what was left of my little sister? Because of that, it took me a little while to notice the man further down the alley, staring at the pool of blood. He was holding the murder weapon in his hand. It was dripping with blood. Oh, fucking Christ. Ito hopped over what used to be Yui and spoke to me in the same pleasant tone that he always used.
どうしてだって？それは俺の方の質問だよな。お前さ、なんであの時助けなかったんだ？
あの時？
なんで見捨てたんだ？
捨てたって誰よ？
誰って。千にはあんなに苦しんでただろうが。
Senri? Senri Minamisawa? Why was he saying her name? Why was Ito talking about Senri?
どうだ！自分の大切なものを失う気分は！自分の無力さを思い知りながら後悔に苛まれる気分は！
I felt nothing but confusion. What I was looking at didn't seem real. So I just stood there and stared at Ito's face, dumbstruck.
彼女は俺にとってかけがえのない存在だった。それをお前は見殺しにしたんだ。でもこれでようやく復讐も終わる。
Ito? お前。
What was the relationship between Senri Minamisawa and Ito? What happened between them? It didn't look like I'd have time to think about it. Ito's knife got steadily closer to me.
次は宮代の番だ。よく切れるメスと麻酔薬は持ってきたか？それがなきゃひどく痛くて苦しむぞ。ゆいちゃんみたいにな。
Ito smiled a murderer's smile. Oh, so that's how it's going to be. For some reason, I'd lost the capacity to think clearly. That was the only thought that was left. I'm not even going to look like a person when he's done with me. Just like Yui. Feeling overwhelmed me. All I could do was stare into Ito's bloodshot eyes and wait for the moment of my death. And then, I heard what sounded like a scream behind me. It was enough to drag me back to my senses. I looked back and saw Kurusu standing under the streetlight, her shoulders heaving up and down. Her eyes went wide at the knife in Ito's hand. He'll kill you too. Get away from here, Kurusu. I wanted to tell her to get away, but only meaningless noises came out of my mouth. It was like my vocal cords had been paralyzed. Kurusu did the exact opposite of what I'd hoped she would. She ran into the alley, blocking my way out. And at the same time, she noticed the boxes filled with body parts and the stinking pool of blood. She gasped.
これ何タクルゆいはどうしたのねえゆいは
I was finally able to speak, but I couldn't answer her question. It was pathetic, but tears started to well up in my eyes. I couldn't stop them. Ito answered for me, flipping the knife from one hand to another as he spoke.
ああ、ほら、気をつけなよ、副部長。その箱を一つでも踏み潰したら、ゆいちゃんを組み立てられなくなる。
Kurusu jumped back and started to shake as she stared at the boxes.
嘘でしょ
She sank to her knees and reached out toward what used to be Yui, not caring that she'd be soaked with blood.
こんなの嘘絶対に嘘
She picked up something long and thin. It had a pretty nail on it, one which had never been manicured even though its owner was old enough to be interested in makeup. It was Yui's finger. Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus Christ.
Daから副部長、勝手に触らないでくれよ。ゆいちゃんが綺麗に見えるよう芸術的に詰めたんだから。
どうして
全部宮代が悪いんだよ。南沢千里を苦しめたから。その復讐さ。
千里の復讐？
そうだよ。千里はもっと痛かったろう。苦しかったろう。しかも実験が辛くて死にたいと思っても死ねなかった。ゆいちゃんなんてまだ幸せだよ。こうしてすぐ死ぬことができたんだからね。
When I'd heard those words, something snapped inside me. The fog in my head cleared instantly, and my blood started to boil. It was a rage I couldn't control. The next thing I knew, I'd leapt at Ito with my bare hands. He pointed the knife straight at me, as if he'd been waiting for this. I could tell it was pointed straight at my neck, at my carotid artery. If I'd been more calm, I would have known better than to jump on him without any defenses. But now I couldn't hold back my anger. He must have thought he had me, because a cruel, thin smile formed on Ito's lips. I knew I was going to die. I hoped that Kurusu, at least, might be able to get away. The last thought that went through my head was... If heaven was real, that was probably where Yui was going. But I knew without a doubt that I was going to hell. So I'd probably never see her again. But the moment of my death never came. Instead, I heard Kurusu scream. It was a violent sound, unlike anything I'd ever heard from her before. I looked in surprise and saw that she'd grabbed Ito from the side, and the two of them were rolling on the ground. The two of them were rolling around in Yui's blood. She didn't seem to hear me at all. She screamed like a wounded animal and tried to grab both of Ito's arms from behind. Her whole body was covered with Yui's blood, and each time she moved, her long hair flew up and sent dark red splashes everywhere. Ito tried to shake her off and punched her in the stomach. She moaned in pain when the impact hit her where she'd been stabbed before, but she still hung on desperately and refused to let go. This would be a phenomenal time for some telekinesis shit right now. Probably not easy to concentrate though. I leapt on top of Ito without even thinking. I grabbed the hand with the knife and smashed it into the ground with all my might. There was a dull snap as his fingers shattered, and the knife fell to the ground. I kicked it far away. I put my full weight on Ito's back and pinned him to the ground. Alright, take it back. Who needs telekinesis? God, oh. He was far stronger than I thought, and he almost knocked me off, but I refused to let go. This would be a great time for Shinjo to show up. But she didn't seem able to answer my question. She sat down on the ground and tried to catch her breath. The shock seemed to have temporarily robbed her of the ability to breathe. Big tears fell from her eyes, and when she finally caught her breath, she started to sob. You don't get to talk. Shut the fuck up.
こいつが千里を見捨てていなければ、俺だってこんな事件を起こすこともなかった。なあ、宮代?
That is the most horseshit reasoning I've ever heard in my life.
それは全ての事件の元凶は宮代だったんだ。お前が追いかけてたはずのニュージェネの狂気の再来事件は、実はみんなお前を追い詰めるために俺が起こしてたんだ。そんなことも調べられないで何が情報強者だよ。すげえ滑稽だぜ宮代。
That couldn't be true. People had died because of me? If I'd found the truth faster, Yui wouldn't have died. That's... Yeah, that's horseshit. No. Kurusu's voice was so soft I couldn't hear what she was saying.
Huh? Kurusu.
嘘よ。伊藤君の言ってることはみんなデタラメじゃない。
はあ?
Kurusu jerked her face upwards without even bothering to hide her tears. She stood up, enraged, and screamed into the sky.
あなたは誰？伊藤君にこんなことをさせて。どこかで私たちを嘲笑っているのは一体誰なの？
クルス。
見てるのは分かってるのよ。私の大切な妹をこんな姿にしたあなたは一体誰？
Something red dripped down off Kurusu's skirt. Was it Yui's blood, or had Kurusu's own injury opened again?
どういうことだ、クルス? 伊藤君
は千里のことなんて知らない。誰かにそう思い込まされてるだけ。
はあ？何言ってんだよ。俺は大好きだった千里のために復讐を。だからそんなの嘘。私は千里と一緒にずっと過ごしてきたのよ。千里はあなたに会ったことなんてない。なのに復讐なんてありえない。バカなこと言うなよ。俺は 俺は千里を愛してたんだ。だから千里のために。
Some psychic with the power to like implant memories, maybe? I could tell that Ito's body was starting to shake underneath me. His teeth were chattering as if he was afraid of something.
それも全部デタラメよ。千里はあなたなんて絶対に知らない。だからあなたが千里を愛しているはずがない。
違う。
Ito flailed about. Foamy bubbles were pouring from his mouth. His bloodshot eyes had rolled up into his head. They were so swollen they looked like they might burst out of their sockets. And... Jesus fuck. Suddenly, blood started to pour out of both of his eyes. It wasn't Yui's. It was very clearly his own. That's a very upsetting thing to look at. Like this. When I recoiled, he crawled out from under me, and then curled up on the ground. He grabbed his head with his hands and started to spasm and flail about.
Oi, Ito!
Ito tore at his head and finally started to bang it against the ground. Jesus. Kurusu and I grabbed him and tried to stop him. His forehead had split open, and the blood coming out of it mixed with the blood coming out of his eyes. It was impossible to even tell what he looked like now. But he shook us off and started to jerk and flail some more. Ito was shouting loudly, but he wasn't making any sense. It was as if what Kurusu had said was right, and someone was controlling his brain.
待てよ、俺がゆいちゃんにこんなこと。俺ゆいちゃんのこといつもいい子だなって思ってて、宮代とも仲が良くてちょっと羨ましいなって。でもそうか、俺が殺したんだ。だって千里のためだもんな。で、千里って誰だっけ？
Suddenly, Ito's laughter cut off, and he froze like a toy whose batteries had run out. Then all the strength drained from his body, and he collapsed. Kurusu and I together couldn't support the full weight of an unconscious human, and we all fell to the ground. Is he just unconscious? Some tells me he ain't coming back from this shit. Neither of us could move for a while. We just lay there, holding Ito between us. And staring at the bloody boxes that held our sister. Kurusu started to cry like a little girl. There was nothing I could say to her, because I felt like I was going to cry too, and it was all I could do to stop myself. I could hear many footsteps in the distance. It was either Shinjo and the police, or maybe the reporters around Aoba dorm. I closed my eyes tight. I didn't want to see anything else. I didn't want to hear anything else.
ダメだよ、タクル兄。のの姉って本当はまだ子供なんだから、タクル兄が支えてあげなくっちゃ。ね。
I can't believe that. Was it her ghost, maybe? I could see Yui smiling gently when I closed my eyes. Fuck. Like, I knew that I can't. I'm done for today. I cannot, dude. Like, I knew that this series was like nothing is off limits. There's nothing too much, but they still managed to hurt me. That's unreal. I really need to just accept that, like, there truly is nothing off limits, which that's, I mean, like, I knew that, but I guess I didn't know that. Like, I knew it in my brain, I didn't know it in my heart, I guess. I don't know. Something cliche platitudes. I have to go now. Goodbye.